What's up, guys? On today's episode, we have two of the most energetic people I have ever met. They are specialty coffee creators, consultants, and educators straight from New York City. If you see the logo with the glasses of Mr. Alvarez and the mustache of Mr. Gonzalez, along with the stimming picture on the logo, you know who they are. It's Espresso State of Mind. What's up, Hobbs? What's up, Theo Joe?
What's going on? Juan loves coffee, especially state of mind.
Hey everybody, how you all doing today?
Right, yes, sir. I'm so happy to have you guys on this live, man. Thank you very much for taking your time.
Honestly, the pleasure is all ours, brother. We see what you're doing, and likewise, man. Your energy, your vibe has always been a good thing, and it's always been huge to us. So it means a lot to have us on here.
I actually got the opportunity to travel to New York this March for Coffee Fest in 2020. And I was super excited for that, man, because when you guys came out here to LA, you guys created, all these events that brought everybody even closer. The one beauty I like about the energy you guys bring is that when we first met through Instagram, we were complete strangers, right? But the minute you guys landed in LA and we saw each other in person, it was like we had known each other for a long time. So that, for me, it was amazing, man.
The beauty of Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We appreciate it. Obviously, having you in the West Coast coming in, making us feel welcome at home. Like it's pretty cool to see, even in the other side of the U.S., that we can still bring the same love and same energy that we do every day here in New York.
Yes, sir. So I want to get to know you guys a little bit more on a more personal level, so I know you guys are consultant and educators and stuff in coffee, but before coffee, I would love to know and rewind to where you guys were born and raised, and we could start with Hobbs. Would be amazing.
Cool. So born in St. John's Hospital, Queens, New York in 91. I spent the first 11 years here in New York. And kind of bounced from different apartment every month or every year. And then slowly we moved to Florida, which was a big transition in my life because I had like the New York, I guess, attitude or experience that you feel like you automatically get when you live here, to now a more calmer area, more suburban, more separated. So it's definitely a transition. And then got lucky, like a lot of young people looking for a job, and started working at this place called Wingstop as my first job in Florida, and then got fired after a month, and then realized like I don't think Florida's for me, and then came to New York in 2009 and started at Starbucks. And did I know that I was going to spend the next 10 years in coffee? No,
probably not.
Probably not. But hitting about 11 years in coffee back in March. So it's exciting that my life has gone just coffee, and I'm really, really happy that things are going well and we're making things happen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
And likewise for you, Theo Joe. How was life for you?
Oh, I am born and raised in the Bronx. Was born in Bronx, Lebanon in 1980. So that's right, Theo Joe's an old fart. I'm going to be 40 this year. But born and raised in the Bronx, have basically been in New York City my whole life, never moved out. I've lived in Queens, I lived in Yonkers, but for the most part, Bronx, born and bred. I got my first hospitality job as a dishwasher inside of an Irish pub called Piper's Kilt, which is now known as the Bronx Public. And from there, I fell in love with the whole concept of hospitality, right? So this bar that I worked at, it was the first place that I ever worked at where people knew what you were going to drink, eat, and where you were going to sit before you even sat down.
Okay.
As in, like, knowing your regulars, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
nothing makes the regular happier than just having their drink already on the counter when they walk in, and we all know that feeling, especially if they've had a long day. So this was the first place I found that. From there, I just continued into hospitality. I did about, say, 13 years and various hospitality things. I did everything from line cook to room service, um, server, manager, you name it, I did it. And then I lucked out into coffee by pure mistake. A friend of mine who was becoming a manager hit me up asking me, "Hey, are you looking for work?" And I was like, "Actually, I am." And he gave me a good salary, and gave me the schedule that I wanted because I'm a father of two, and kind of fell into it from there. The first shop that I worked at, everything was basically manual. I mean, even our grinder would actually grind the coffee and tamp it for us, and then we would just put it into the machine, just lock it in, and then we would press a button, and the machine would do everything.
Yeah.
And one
Actually.
day somebody asked me a question, and I couldn't answer it. I had no idea what I was technically doing. All I knew was I was pressing a button. And then that's where my love of coffee kind of grew, as in I started taking classes and really getting more into it.
Yeah. That's what it takes
And this
sometimes, for
was,
you to take your time and educate yourself on the craft that you really fall passionate for.
yeah, I fell into coffee, by the way, in 2011.
Amazing. And this is around the time Hobbs fell into coffee?
Yeah, I got into coffee 2010, March of 2010. So almost hit around there. So with me and Joe's experience, we're about almost 20 years in this. So
Yeah.
um, it was
Wow,
exciting to
that,
see that.
that's a really long time, man. I have like I'm going on 4 years now, and I'm thinking like, whoa, that's a long time being in coffee.
Man, nah,
Baby years.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You're
because
you're 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 on
just
your way.
yeah, just like Tio Joe, my first job was as a busboy. It was between dishwashing and a busboy, the whole hospitality of catering to people and stuff. So never really into coffee. And then for me in 2013, at one of the restaurants I was working at, a chef was the one that poured the first heart and the first Rosetta. So that's when I was like, whoa, what is that?
Yo, first restaurant I worked at that they had for Rosetta, it blew our mind. And mind you, this was way before I became a barista. I had no idea that you could actually do that.
Exactly. No, same experience here. And then after that, I was working as a server at a diner type of coffee place, cafe. So we were serving breakfast and stuff, and then the servers would have to make coffee for the customers too. And I kid you not, when I was hired for the first time there, the manager, the owner of the company or the restaurant was trying to teach me what a cappuccino was, what a latte was, words that I've never heard before. And I was like, I don't know how to do this stuff. So then they were training me the way they were trained, which going back to that, it was not good at all. Like the knowledge they had or the quality of product they were putting out there was not good at all. So yeah, but it was amazing that was a new language for me, and then fell in love with it, dude. So, Javi, you said Starbucks was sort of like the introduction to coffee for you.
But yeah, so back in 2010, I landed a job at Starbucks about 10 blocks away from my apartment in Sunnyside, Queens, and I kind of went up the ropes. I became a supervisor in like 6 to 8 months, and then I started like understanding how to run a coffee shop and the benefits of working for Starbucks, which till this day I'm glad that was the route that I went. I think everybody should have experienced a little bit of Starbucks in their career, just because of how they run a shop and how their system. It definitely plays a factor in today's when I'm working in different shops.
Yeah.
So started Starbucks, spent about 2.5 years, and then I opened the flagship Starbucks in Brooklyn in 2012. And then my friend sent me a message, hey, looking for a barista at a hotel, $20 an hour. And like anybody back in 2013, that's like unheard of. So I was like, there's no way this could be true. And then I go to the interview and I get it, and I realize I'm in a union in this hotel, and this is how I'm making, and you can make more afterwards. So it was like a no-brainer for me to leave Starbucks. I still look back at that decision to think about what my coffee career would have been like if I'd have just climbed the ropes to Starbucks, because I was trying to be an assistant manager, and for better or worse, I took the money, and it kind of put me in a standstill for about 3 or 4 years, because all I was doing is collecting a check and I wasn't progressing in knowledge. So
Yeah.
that was a big hit for me. Then I consumed some Gary V content. I started recording myself, thinking like I could do latte art. You know how like you're a first barista, you think you know
Yeah.
latte art, you're doing. It's cringy to look back at it now. Like,
Well, yeah,
Joe,
I mean, I've definitely have gone back there and watched those Latte Art 101, videos you were posting.
brutal. Joe was like, looking back, Joe was mad nice to me. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? He could have crippled me like a lot of times. And I'm like, oh.
I will just simply say, I still have videos that I will never post of Hav, but I will also never erase. It's just what we all went through. You know what I mean? Like it's truly part of the process. I mean, listen, I have been with some of the best, not only in New York, some of the best in the country, some of the best in the world. With that being said, I've watched them. I've watched some of these people go from barely pouring a heart to in 6 months winning their first throwdown. And some people can just be like, oh, well, maybe they pour good latte art. Listen, there are a lot of people that pour good latte art. It doesn't mean you can pour good latte art at a throwdown. Like there is a difference. That whole environment is different, et cetera. But it's been cool, man. I mean, it's been great. Listen, I spent a year and a half losing at throwdowns before I got my first W. You know what I mean? My first ever pour, I steamed my milk perfectly. And then as soon as I started to pour, my left hand started shaking like someone had grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me to death.
I know that
I
experience very
simply,
well.
I've been there.
Bro, I simply continued pouring the milk in, and it was the most beautiful blob I've ever seen in my life. I put it on the counter, and before they even said anything, I literally walked off because it was just terrible. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, no, I sort of tried to do a little homework and then scroll down Instagram, and your Instagram feed took a lot longer to get to like the first post you ever did, because you have
Joe?
Joe's Instagram, because he has so much stuff in there, There's a lot of
Joe
history
had
there.
2,500 followers before I even met him. Like, he was like just posting. Go for it.
Well, go ahead. Tell me about how you two meet in such a big city, which is New York. How do you guys cross paths?
Great. Yeah. So great story on how me and Hav met. So I started working at a coffee shop called 4-5 Coffee Roasters down in Times Square. Right. And I'm about maybe 3-4 blocks away from where Javier's working. But when I'm working at this cafe, I have I call them kids because I'm older than everybody. But I have these young men that I have the pleasure of opening the shop up with, and they have a little bit of knowledge on Instagram. So before I got heavy into coffee, I used to do balloon animals, and I've taught at balloon conventions. I do kids parties. I've won awards, stuff like that. So I kind of had somewhat of a following because of my balloons, but I didn't understand and didn't realize what I could actually do with Instagram. Social media isn't my time, so when I first really started getting into it, I wasn't. I didn't think much good can come from it. I usually saw more bad come from it than good. So in my mind, it wasn't a good thing. It was more negative than positive. But these guys, one of them, Jeremy specifically, started helping me go through Instagram, showing me how to post my feed. Then the stories came in, and I was very anti-story, but started going through. But basically, one of my posts went viral, and he showed me that you could go to like a search section and look up other videos. So what did I do? I went into the search section one day when I was on my break, and this video pops up of some kid in a wrinkly shirt, didn't have his hair done, just looked like he literally, left somebody, some shorty's house, and ran to work, right? And he's staring in front of the camera, and then he goes like this, and all of a sudden he's got his hair's done, got a little shave going on, his shirt is pressed, like he's all clean and stuff, right? So I sat there, like the big silly kid that I am, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's fucking cool. I want to do that." Come to find out, it was Hav, and he was, like I said, within a 5-minute walk of where I was at, ironically. Now, when I started looking at Javier's Instagram, I started noticing that he wasn't just posting up videos, he was literally setting up a whole camera. This is something I've never heard of. If I ever set up a camera, I would get fired.
Yeah.
I got written up for posting latte art pics. So I had to take them and post on my break because like my bosses were just being jerks and they wrote me up for posting my latte art. So that to me blew my mind. I couldn't figure out how he was doing this. So I said, you know what? I need to connect with this kid because I got to find out the trick. Like, what's the secret? But from there, we finally met up. I think it was Hop came and met me for the first time, right? Like you came through the 4 or 5.
So after, because I was kind of in the search for looking for baristas in New York. So the first thing I remember looking up was New York baristas, seeing who I find, who I can speak to, and then that's how our paths crossed. And then we realizing that we were like 4 blocks away. But I remember Joe was trying to hunt me down for finding my place like earlier, but because I wasn't putting my Weston like location, I was just putting Grand Central. He was like going through the whole terminal trying to find me, then finding out that he's actually not that far away from Grand Central. I went to visit him, and like I remember there's a video out there that I think was lost, unfortunately, but I see myself like I'm in the taxi cab and I'm like April 17th, 2017, and I'll go there and with this camera and I just run up on Joe and I'm like, "Hey, BX Barista." That's how we met, and kind of we started gelling, and then he took me to my first throwdown a month later.
Variety Coffee.
Yeah, Variety Coffee, Chelsea. And I was with a camera, a road mic. I was just like, why is there just a whole event going on that nobody knows about it? Nobody's documenting, nobody's talking, like everybody's there in their own cliques and nobody really knows each other, but they're just So it was strange.
So all these creative ideas were flowing through your mind then. You saw an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, like Hav was the first one to. So the beauty of our relationship was I was looking for some Instagram knowledge, and I guess more just social media knowledge to be frank. Hav was looking for some coffee knowledge, so it worked out great. He was able to help me with videos, with content, with direction, and I was able to help him with his coffee. I mean, was able to help him with like latte art. I mean, for Baltimore, somebody went to Coffee Fest Baltimore 2017, and was it 17 or 18?
I think it was 18.
18. He took day 3. You know what I mean? So like super proud, man. Like that to me was I took day 3 that day. I just didn't pour.
Well, I want to touch a little bit about how I came across you guys too, because obviously it had to do with social media. And funny thing is, I met Javi. I saw Javi's feed first before I saw Theo Joe's feed. And like you said, Theo Joe, the first thing that popped into my feed was Jav's videos wearing his square pattern, blue and white shirt. And I kept seeing on the search or the feed, I just kept seeing this kid pouring, and like he was pouring fire, dude, like constant videos, one after another, and I think that sort of like what kept pushing into my feed because I was very into coffee at that time too. So I see Hobbs and I'm like, who's this kid? So I just pressed follow. And then from there, everything blossomed, dude.
Yeah, man, that's I appreciate that. I look back at that year of posting videos and thinking like nobody's gonna, not knowing what's gonna happen. And I think once I met Joe took me to throwdowns, and then once we did our first throwdown, everything was like, we looked at each other and we were like, holy crap, like it's December 24th, we have 100 people in Red Hook, Brooklyn. Like,
yeah.
And that kind of just made everything seem like worth, like, hey, it's actually paying off. So it's pretty cool. So never doubt the power of content.
Yeah. Well, speaking of social media and stuff, tell us where can people find you guys, or how can people find you?
Tell them, Joe.
So first and foremost, you can find us on Espresso State of Mind, not Espresso people, because I've actually gotten emails to Espresso State of Mind. It's Espresso with an F. Espresso State of Mind on Instagram. You could also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff. Then, of course, there's the CEO, Mr. Life of Hav, which you can follow on Instagram. And then there's your boy over here, the BX Barista, which you can follow me on Instagram. Yeah, man, just super cool. I mean, if I'm correct, I think the first time I met Juan, we actually like battled against each other over in LA, if I'm correct.
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, me and you, we threw down against each other at the Breville Throwdown.
Oh, that was a coffee festival. Whoa, yes, yeah, I remember.
That was
now.
the first LA coffee festival. That is correct. Yeah. That I still have great pictures. I met some photographer over there, and she wound up like taking a bunch of like really cool pictures because she was loving the environment and everything. So I'll look them up and send them to you. But yeah, if I'm correct, I think that was our first time actually meeting. And it's been love ever since.
What I remember about Juan was that you were very persistent. Like you were very like, hey, what's up, guys? I'm Juan. And I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Like you wanted to figure out what are these guys doing, and our paths crossed, and it's cool to see a couple years now that we're all good friends. We're doing like a cool podcast.
Yeah, dude. Well, for me, it's the whole thing of like the 3 C's, right? Coffee, community, culture, and coffee definitely brings a lot of people together, man. So my next question to you guys is like, what does coffee, or what is this thing we're doing, stand for you guys?
I think it's just a path, I think a lot of people are lost. A lot of people don't know what they want to do in life, and I think they think about it too much. And I think coffee is such an enjoyable industry to be in, from falling in love with coffee, with just practicing coffee, with just, learning everything about it. You realize how much information there's out there, how much you can grow. So for us to be in, one of the advocates of that, that's what that really means to me.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. We live in reality, and we know coffee can also be rough. You know what I mean? Coffee isn't always easy, etc. But it, just like you said, right? It's community. It's the culture. That's why I'll stay at a cafe. It's the amazing people I get to work along, and of course, one of my favorite things about the coffee shop is the culture, and it's the culture of the side hustle. Everybody's got a side hustle. You either write grants, you do photography, you're a video editor, you do balloons. That's right, do balloons. I mean, everybody has that, right? So I've met some amazing artists, some amazing actresses, actors, etc. I've been to some really badass plays, which I do hope to return to it one day. Kind of sad to see everything shut down out here, but things are getting better. How is everything out there on your side of the world?
Things are, I mean, a lot of shops are closing, including Minotti's, who had a third place, had to let go of one of them, so.
Which one went?
Wow.
Hollywood location went. Yeah. The small one. And yeah, like you say, just being employed by them and seeing sort of like the sales or the struggles or other businesses that I used to frequent closing, like it's scary, man. It's
Yeah,
really scary.
it's it's tough, you
Yeah.
know. So
And
it's definitely our responsibility to make sure we value community again, and figure out how to do more of this.
yeah.
More good people continue talking about it. My only fear is people losing faith in coffee and our movement, and rather than getting back to it and like, hey,
Yeah.
we're Coffee Fest New York 2021. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. Well, speaking of side hustles, I know Theo Joe mentioned, him being Joe Dynamite, being the balloon expert. I want to talk about any hustles or skills or any secret talents that Hobbs has.
Oh, so um, be, before I wanted to be a coffee entrepreneur, I wanted to be a professional poker player.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, not a lot of people know about that, but I had like from age 21, well, actually age 18, to like 25, I wanted to be a professional poker player. I wanted to dedicate my life to playing this game and mastering it. And, made a couple of dollars, but realized, it's not as healthy
Yeah.
of a career path, especially when I'm in my 20s and trying to pay my rent on a monthly basis. But as Joe would know, like I definitely get a lot that I learned in poker, and use it in any special state of mind of just working with people, how to handle people, how to talk to people, how to read people. The craft of just dedication and just keep going on it every day. So I value poker a lot. So that's definitely my side hustle.
Yeah. And and speaking of like side hustle stuff, Espresso State of Mind came upon what idea? Or how did you guys come upon it? How did you guys decide to start Espresso State of Mind?
You wanna tell them about Burrow Baristas, Joe?
So basically, me and Hav got together, started going to throwdowns, started doing content, all this other good stuff. Then I get hit up by Barista Daily Grind, which is a coffee shop out in Nebraska, Kearney, Nebraska. And they hire me to come out to hang out with them and do some latte art with their people and help open up a second shop. So Hav comes out with me and two other friends of ours. Actually, Danny Macchiats winds up joining us, and uh, um,
Okay.
what's the other dude that came out with us? What is it?
AJ.
AJ. There we go. So AJ comes out with us as well. And when we all go out there, me and Hav are kind of thinking, all right, now when we come back to New York, what can we do? And right before we left for that, we actually did a catering event for Godiva,
Yeah.
which worked out pretty well. So from there, we decided to put together the Borough Baristas, and we were going to do catering events and all this other stuff. Then realized trying to get catering gigs is a little bit tough, and we got a couple, but at the same time, wanted to switch it up a little bit, and we started trying to figure out how we could take it to the next level. So Hav being Hav went and started getting together the tax ID and started getting together a better name and all this other stuff. And if I'm correct, it was Hav that came up with Espresso State of Mind, right?
It was me and AJ in
Okay,
in our ride,
perfect.
and it just clicked. We first Espresso State of Mind was supposed to be a catering company. We were gonna go full on catering. We're gonna be like, hey, look, why work $15 an hour at a coffee shop when we can make $1,000 at an event?
Yeah.
And we realized, like, hey, if this is the plan, if this is our path to be baristas professionally, then let's figure out how to monetize it. And we realized that if we can book events, we can make a lot of money. The only problem is nobody knew who we are. So one of the things that I really enjoy about business is marketing. And when I started realizing how many people we can gather at a throwdown every month, we realized there was potential for marketing our brand and putting our names out there and getting the attention of sponsors and other corporate companies. And then the value with just us focusing on content. Like with nothing that we did, we never for a second said we're not going to record this. Like our goal was to record everything, show people how this lifestyle is, really be about the community and grow it. And then after 10 throwdowns in a row, we were like, okay, so we're no longer a catering company. We're now an events company.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we started connecting with Coffee Fest as well as Coffee Festival, and then that's how we really got to really branch out and really meet the community, right? So these events that we put on, it's not for us. It's not. We're not making money off of this. We're not we're not eating off of this. This is something we really just put together for the community because we enjoy these events ourselves. Nothing makes me and Hav more happier than going to a throwdown, going to a triangulation, just any kind of coffee competition. We light up. We get really excited off of it. So being able to team up with Coffee Fest and Coffee Festival, it really helped us to branch out even more and connect with more individuals. For example, when we go to LA now, we're treated like family. We have fam out there, not just yourself. We got plenty of people, and mind you, we got people that we look up to that are coming up to us and showing us love. It's really great. And this is for us to say more.
Our formula is be everywhere.
Yeah.
No matter what the plane ticket costs, no matter what the hotel ticket costs, the value of going to every trade show and shaking hands is the biggest advice I can give any coffee professional. It doesn't matter, you know what I mean? We met Pacific Foods back in 2017 at a Barista Nation event in New York City, where only like 5% of the community in New York went, and we met one of the managers of the East Coast in Denise. And did I know back then that meetup would change our lives forever? And then to see them again in Seattle, SCA back in 2018, to then do an all plant-based throwdown, which is probably our biggest meaningful throwdown that really took us to the next level because we were able to get funding to really produce these events.
Nice. But the one thing you say, like buying a plane ticket, it doesn't matter and stuff. I've been trying to compete, obviously, in the Tasters Cup, even Coffee Fest and stuff. And all this is money. So how do you guys go about funding most of this stuff? Is it like personal money, or do you guys seek help, or how does it work?
A little bit of both, honestly. One, first and foremost, blood, sweat, and tears, literally. You have to put in hours for this. This is not something that you spend an hour on and it's okay. No, you're spending 2 hours today, 2 hours 3 days from now. You're responding to emails when they pop up. That does take time. Yes, you are going to spend a couple dollars out your pocket. Honestly, anything you care for, anything that you want to do, you're obviously going to invest in, right? As they say, you get what you put into it. And then something Hav taught me: don't be afraid to ask. That may sound a little funny, but don't be afraid to ask. And ask, of course, within reason, but don't be afraid to ask. When you talk to these sponsors, a lot of these sponsors are looking for a way to give back, are looking for a way to connect to the community, honestly. They just don't have that liaison, that middle person. So one of the things that me and Hav have been able to do is kind of be that middle person. And it's worked out really great because we've been able to connect them more into the community, more into shops, which obviously help them. But, also, like I said, they're looking to give back to us. So just don't be afraid to ask. You never know.
Yes, sir. And throughout these years, what would you guys say is one of the biggest challenges you guys have faced?
Oof, I got this very easy. The biggest challenge has to be coffee shops canceling us on the last minute.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oof, super brutal.
And what
Yeah,
what
we
what is
had
the reason? What is the reason they give to canceling?
So sometimes I feel coffee shop owners don't realize the value of community and presence. So convincing them to invest in themselves and in their shop can lead to indecisive decisions. Um, Unfortunately, there are shops that don't work out, but every time a shop hasn't worked out, the second shop that we follow up with that worked out has changed the landscape of our business as well.
Yeah.
We would have never have met Chatella Wolf if was it Butcher's Daughter doesn't cancel us back in 2018 in December for our second holiday event.
Yeah,
Wow.
man. Yeah, I mean, it's happened. It's unfortunate. I mean, I guess the beauty of our job isn't actually putting the events together. The beauty of our job is trying to figure out Plan B, C, and D, because it's going to happen, right?
But yeah, just talking to you, I feel like a lot of coffee shops are afraid of. I feel like what they see is how much you're going to lose by providing the space,
For sure.
time, the product, and not
Yeah.
and not the outcome of like what can come from all that.
It's hard for people to think in the macro of things.
Yeah.
You're just looking to get by to the next month. The way we've worked on not dealing with the owner and money is we've been trying to get sponsors for everything: coffee, milk, prizes. So all we need is the space to use it, right?
Yes.
That's more. It's a little bit more of a smoother process when it's like that. At the same time, like you hit us up about doing an event, you have to be in the. You have to understand that it's going to cost something. So I think it's a little bit of back and forth, but I think I think what has helped us is we're really resilient to making things happen. I think that's been one of our mottos. It's like, hey, whatever there's a will, there's a way, and like we're gonna make it happen. And you know, almost what 25 throwdowns later, and
Yeah.
to even think about it, it's been an interesting journey, my friend.
So now you guys create these amazing events, but you also said you started as a caterer. Are you guys still thinking about continuing that, or
Yes,
focus
well,
more
for
on
sure.
the events?
For sure. I mean, look, the beauty. It's like a curse and a blessing, or a special state of mind. We have so many ways to make and build our business, right? But then at the same time, there's so many ways that are coming out from us that we get a little bit, uh, overwhelmed because we don't know where to focus more. So I think we are just gonna figure out how this like pandemic world's gonna be like, and if it is, then we have to figure out how to demand it.
Yeah.
It's been interesting, but right now our focus is going to be roasting. One of the things that Joe asked me, he's like, I want to do coffee again, right? And hosting and doing all the other events is great, but when do we get back to the coffee? So I was like, okay, cool. So we've been sampling roasting for the last couple of weeks, and we just ordered our Ikawa in, so we're super excited and try to take the next chapter in the special state of mind.
Amazing. Well, during the March Coffee Fest of 2020, you guys also collaborated with the roaster, right, to bring a special state of mind sort of contribution and
Yeah, we
beans.
actually collaborated with two of them. First was Brandywine down in Delaware, which obviously needs no introduction. Their stuff is always badass and delicious. And then another one that we collaborated with was Flux out in Long Island, which some people may not have heard of, but out here in New York, they're doing big things. Arslan is really great at what he does. And that one was amazing because it went to a charity that helps women in coffee who aren't getting the proper funds to get the proper medical attention that them as women need. So it was really great to be part of two really awesome things. And then obviously continue it with the pandemic. But we originally wanted to roast. We really originally wanted to start roasting our coffee for March for Coffee Fest. Then COVID hit, so we decided, well, what better way than to collab and kind of help somebody help us, right? So rather than us get the bags and start doing all of that stuff, we hit up Brandywine, and it works out well. You know, we buy the coffee off of them, and then we get to sell it. So they're getting their money, they're getting what they need, we're getting what we need. You know, as Hob said, rather than be competition, why not, you know, collaborate and come together.
Yes, sir. And come together as a community again, you know, bring more people along.
Man.
Yeah.
Was speaking of coffee, what is you guys' go-to drinks?
Oof. Cortado all day.
Cortado. Well, tell me for you what a cortado is, because I feel like
good question. Because
that's
I
a good
know,
one. Yeah.
You know, where you work, you do a little different, or we do it different. So it's just 2 ounces of espresso, 2 ounces of milk, no sugar.
No sugar, no bullshit.
No sugar, no bullshit. That's a video. Hey.
No sugar, no bullshit. There you go.
Start with the
That's gonna be
cappuccinos.
Juan's next shirt.
That's
No,
good.
that's actually Javi's.
Throwback.
No, that's actually Javi's when he used to do his coffee crawls back in New York.
All right.
He would get his cappuccino, rate the cappuccino, but says no sugar,
but
no
no,
bullshit.
So good.
And I guess my go-to for coffee would be an espresso and like a pour over. That's usually what I get when I go into a coffee shop.
Nice. And when you order a pour over, what is it that you look for in a pour over?
Honestly, something different, right? So if you have an amazing Chef, right? You really want me to have it. It's just like, yeah, you and everybody else, buddy. Like, you know, it's
God.
I get it. And mind you,
real.
This is probably a delicious cup of coffee, right? I wouldn't even knock it. All right. It's like I said, it's probably a delicious cup of coffee. But it's just like everyone's got one, right? Or like everyone's got that Colombia, right? Yeah. From that lot or whatever have you. So me nowadays, what I look for is something different. For example, I went to Drip Coffee Makers out in Brooklyn, and they had a Sumatra.
Okay.
So I asked for a Sumatra pour over, and yes, I want to try something different. Everybody has a Colombia, everyone has a Kenya, everyone has this. I want to try something that's a little bit different because, yeah, I try these all the time. You know what I mean? So it's always great to be able to go to a spot like that and get that variety. You know, he'll have a Honduras, he'll have a Guatemalan, and a lot of places sometimes don't carry that kind of stuff. You know, a Nicaraguan. You know, these are coffees that can be good, but at the same time aren't as popular as some of the other regions. You know.
Well, I mean, Sumatras and Papua New Guinea and stuff, I mean, they're definitely more of like that smoky, tobacco-ish coffee, you know, which also leads me towards when I visited New York and like Prof making me a flat white and stuff, like I can tell how different the coffee flavors are, you know, it's a little darker in New York versus what I'm used to here in LA, you know. Can you help me out with how that works or how you guys go about espresso out there?
I mean, it's basically I would say New York coffee because it really is New York coffee, but at the same time, it's not just New York coffee. It's East Coast coffee, right? So you have your West Coast style, you have your East Coast style. You also have your Midwest, mid country style, and the West Coast tends to be very, very light roast, very fruity, very soft body, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like you go out to the West Coast and you're getting a 46-gram shot of espresso, maybe even more, and it tastes delicious. And most people out here will sit there and go, "That's ridiculous," and that doesn't make any sense. But
yeah,
it's true. You can have a long shot, and it actually tastes good. But with that being said, it's just an East blue collar kind of coffee. I mean, New Yorkers out here, you just want a cup of coffee that you can put your milk and your sugar in.
Yes.
It's just that simple. And mind you, where now we have been able to change individuals and show them not right from wrong, by the way, but just we've been able to educate them and being able to enjoy a black cup of coffee, for example, right? But with that being said, there is still a huge majority in a little area that needs milk, needs sugar, um, and they're not even going to try the coffee. They're just literally going to order it, take it right over to the station, pour the sugar, pour the milk. So it kind of has to be like dark and heavy. And I mean, have work you work at Chateau? I mean, let them know.
Yeah, it's just
Oh,
the
connected.
different, you know. Um, People will just get they under New Yorkers understand coffee, not hey drink it black, but hey what does it taste like with milk? And then I know I'm gonna put sugar in it. So we, for better or worse, we view coffee as that and nothing else. And I think LA is a bit ahead of the time because when I went to LA for the first time, you remember, Joe, I got like a 4-ounce espresso, and I was like, yo, what is this? I have no idea. I looked at Joe. I said, Joe, is this supposed to be like this? He's like, well, coffee's, so, perspective at the same time, Joe shitted on all my coffee taste the first year. He was like, Stumptown garbage. Boom. Like, there's all, La Colombe proof. Like, so, perspective.
Well, I know you started in Starbucks. Theo Joe started in like hospitality, but what do you guys recall when the first time was when you guys tried coffee for the first time?
I guess for me, it would have to be. So I tried coffee at my first coffee shop, but the first time I guess I actually got educated on coffee would be at my second coffee shop, and this was the first time somebody actually showed me how to dial in a coffee, and how to dial in espresso and taste the difference. And it was really cool, because that was also the first time that I learned you could do this for a living. The individual that I was speaking to was a young lady that was 28 years old, had been in coffee for 7 years at the time, and her job was to fly from state to state, going to different airports to train the barista staff at the airports.
Nice.
And I looked at her going, "Fuck out of here! That's actually a thing. Like you could do this." And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "This is what I'm doing." So that's also when I really decided, whoa, this you can actually do something.
Yeah. And what about you, Hobbs?
So the first time like I even consumed coffee, I remember I was coming from my Starbucks interview, and they gave me a caramel macchiato, and I was like, oh, brutal.
Yeah.
I hated it. But just because when you first try coffee, I don't know if it doesn't register, but it's the first thing you taste is like the bitterness of coffee, and you get like, hey, I'm done with it. I don't want to drink it anymore. But it took me almost 3 years to really like, hey, I'm gonna sip this espresso, and I'm gonna try to figure out what it is. And it was like Stumptown Hairbender. That's probably my first time. And for not since like I met Joe, I didn't even like coffee. I personally could tell you that I didn't enjoy it at all. And I think now, or so many years later, it just grows on you. Now you're just like, holy shit, there's so much. And I'm now an advocate.
Nice. Well, I want to ask you guys, growing up in New York and stuff, leading to your career path right now, who would you guys say were your most the people that most influenced you guys? I'm starting with Joe. Like growing up in the Bronx and stuff.
Like, who influenced me coffee wise, or just who influenced me
In life, in life.
in life? I mean, uh, honestly, in life, I'd have to say my mom and dad. I was blessed. I did lose dad a couple years ago, but at the same time, dad was a good dude. He lived a good life, and my dad taught me a lot. Everything from how to dress myself, how to shave, um, just little things, how to go out, how to leave a tip, how to be a gentleman, how to open a door. Something that I'm definitely making sure to pass along to my son, and make sure that he gets those things as well. But yeah, my mom and my dad have been honestly my biggest influences, in making sure that no matter what happens, I continue grinding. I continue evolving. I never stop learning. I'm always trying to pick something else up, and that's because my dad taught me, the scariest thing in this world is an educated Hispanic male. He goes, and that you can be, my son, if you choose. So it's something I carry with me, and I make sure to remember that. You know.
Yes, sir. And Hobbs.
So it's a tough question because I've been for like the first couple years. I've been rocking by myself in New York, so I never really. I always try to figure everything out. So like obviously I could say the typical like yeah, Gary Vaynerchuk is definitely a huge influence in my life.
Gary,
like,
I was gonna say Gary V. Go ahead.
no ESOM without Gary. A big part would be Joe. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be who I am without Joe. And I just think that my circle has always been a good people. You know,
Yeah.
and I think I've always aligned myself with good people and good energy, and I never kind of fared away from that, and always trying to make sure I'm hustling and keep going. And yeah, man, chess, poker, Gary, and Joe. That's my life right there.
So, well, I know you have a picture with you and Gary B. So you actually got to meet him, right?
Yeah. Oof.
How did that go?
Video out there. I gotta find it, but I got to talk to Gary, and it's cool. He was at this like lemonade business shop that he was doing Q&As, and I rolled up and I, asked him a question that I know the answer to a million times, but like always, you just want to ask a question. And he always told me time. We have so much time.
Yeah.
And it's been cool.
Yeah, no, I discovered Gary Vee too, and like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people. There's a percentage of people that hate him, right? Because sometimes he's very blunt. He tells you need to get your shit together, and I really appreciate that, But other people don't really, take that in consideration. That all you need to do is start doing it.
Yeah, people. It hurts their ego.
Yeah.
Stop playing 2K. You can't complain, So I think accountability is everything. I think that's what me and Joel do so well because we are accountable to each other. If I don't do it, he's on me. If he doesn't do it, I'm on him, and that's how our dynamic is.
Yeah. Well, up in New York, when I was there, and I said I drank a coffee from Idea Coffee, and then the one thing everybody kept talking about going to New York was you got to try the pizza. You got to try the pizza, which I did, and I personally love pizza, man.
Pizza and bagels.
So yeah, dude, I was amazed the fact that in every corner there was a pizza shop, and it was like $1 for a pizza, and I was like, cool, I want that. And I don't care if it was cheese, but yeah, there is something. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know if it's the flavor or what it is, but there is something slightly different.
The water.
It's the water.
The water. Yeah.
So for you guys, what would you say it's one of the most you go-to meals?
So I'm a vegetarian now, so my life is different. So a veggie burrito with avocado is my go-to.
And you make this yourself, or where do you find it?
At your nearest Mexican taco shop.
They make veggie burritos, huh?
Javi ain't big on cooking, even though I bet you he could cook if he wanted to.
I probably could, but
yeah.
Not for nothing.
But you know what? Wait, hold on a second. Not to be rude and to interrupt. Just put this out there. Hav did actually cook for me once. I mean, technically, he took a bunch of leftovers, heated it all up, made it nice and yummy, and gave me like this mad smorgasbord of like a bunch of stuff. So technically, Hav did cook for me. That's on record. I said
there
it.
You go.
There you go. My go-to meal.
I know Joe. Joe is hot dog.
Yeah, hot dog.
Hot dog.
I'm a sucker for a hot dog. Anything just easy and accessible. Protein shake, you can ask Hav. I literally walk around protein shakes. I mean, I have a protein shake container. Hey, there you go. Look, protein shake right there. It's life. It really helps out a lot.
Nice.
Especially now with all the running around. So it's been good.
But just like Gary Vee always helps people realize what their full potential. And with what you guys are doing right now, say someone wants to follow the same footsteps that you guys are doing, what are some of the advice you guys can give out to some people?
Document over create is the best advice I ever got. Stop being insecure, people. Just post. Just show people. You post. You meet people. You make money. It's how it works.
Yeah.
I would say one of the best things I learned, and I got this from Hav. So, and if you want to do what we do, that's fucking great. Get out there, go do it. With that being said, if you're trying to get into events and you are looking for sponsors, etc., there are going to be times that people just can't work with you, right? Now, that doesn't mean they don't want to work with you. It just means that at this current moment in time, they can't. Maybe someone's not giving them some money. Maybe they already have money allocated to something else. Don't take that as personal, and don't take it as a negative. Just simply go, okay, no problem, thank you, and move along. Because you know what happens in a couple of months, somebody comes back and now they have a couple of dollars. Now they're available to work with you. This is something that I've learned, and has really taken us a long way, because we had many people that at first didn't see the benefit of being part of these events, would be the best way of putting it. And then afterwards saw what we were doing and saw what the magic that was coming from it. And then was like, okay, hey, listen, how can we do something? So that would be what I would say. Hey, if someone doesn't want to mess with you, it's not personal. It's just they're not able to do it. So you know what? You wait for the time that they're able to, because it never fails. It always comes back to us.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the things that a lot of people feel sometimes is failure, right? When someone says no, and then you either give up or you're persistent and then look for the next opportunity, right?
Yeah. Super hard to hear no's. I definitely have gotten my no's, and Joe definitely knows, how many no's we've gotten. But I just think it's like swinging a bat. It's literally you swinging a bat. You're just hey, if you're asking 10 people, all you need is one yes.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many different companies of that same industry that you're looking for are, and they all work very different. One of the things I learned about the plant-based industry is that different companies function differently. It's not personal either. They just move differently, and you also start figuring out what do you grab? What are you looking for in a company? Because for us, we were looking for someone that could commit to us, for the future and make something happen and build it. And I think us being patient enough to do that and realize kind of benefited us.
Nice. Well, I know last year, I believe it was 2019, you guys wrote you guys came out with mugs for Espresso State of Mind. And inside those mugs, you guys had a message. Would you remind me of that message?
Yeah, the first one was create something.
Yeah.
As cheesy as it may sound, if you build it, they will come and all this other stuff. But honestly, that's really what it was. I mean, our first throwdown wasn't um, was I wouldn't say it wasn't like good, well organized or anything like that, but like our first throwdown, we were still very skeptical. We weren't sure, man. Like I mean, it's like anything. Anytime you hold an event where you're inviting people, if no one shows up, then it just is what it is. And from our first one, we decided, you know what, we're gonna build it. We had enough people come up to us, and literally look at us and go, "Hey, if you guys put together an event, man, we'd be there." And me and Ha were just like, "All right, you know what? I think it's time. Let's do it." And also, we got to do it for Christmas, so it was really good. The money went to a good charity. Got to help some people out, and just really see it there, man. That was really awesome. Like just putting it together and really seeing it.
And then the second one, what was the second one?
Oh, the second call was it progression, not perfection.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Cool. That's probably our most meaningful cup. We had no idea how many people would appreciate those words in that cup, and it became a lifestyle. I think everybody's so hard on themselves. It's all about, and that's what I love about latte art. Like, it's been 3 years since I've been pouring professionally, and one of the things that no one could take away from me is my progress from latte art, no matter what I do. So I think that should show that, hey, if you commit to something, there is a huge return. I think we want to be the example of that. So Juan Loves Coffee can make things happen 3 years later, and so on and so on.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm correct, Hav took actually most improved one year in New York. Actually, Hav got shouted out for most improved. Very very proud.
Yeah. No, that's all it takes. Even me recording this stuff, at first it was like, well, I don't like how I look on camera. I don't like how I sound in the mic. And all that stuff kept holding me back. And yeah, the first episode sounds really rough. My editing is not there yet, so it's all about the progression, right?
Yeah, no, that's the beauty of it, man. Once you start putting it out there, then you're just gonna start noticing it. It's just gonna get easier. It's just gonna get better. I was never a huge fan of the camera. Have threw one in my face constantly, and it just got easier. But it's something that even I had to work on. I enjoy it now. It's 1, 2, 3 now. It's whatever, but at the same time, it took a minute.
Yeah. Well, speaking about progression and stuff, what would you say? Although we are in a pandemic right now, but the beginning of the year of 2020 was kind of great, with Coffee Fest and all that stuff. What would you guys consider to be your biggest accomplishment?
My biggest accomplishment right now, honestly, I would have to say, is keeping my sanity. Um, and it, not even to be selfish or anything, but I can honestly tell you that when the pandemic hit, I had no work. I had no idea what was going to happen, and I didn't know what direction I was going in. I was somewhat lost and just sad. And I literally stood at home for a week and I guess collected my thoughts, like, cried my cries, try to figure out why this was happening. Okay, this is happening now. How can I move forward? How can I get through this? How can I flourish with this? And don't get me wrong, COVID has been horrible. I've lost some family members near and dear due to COVID, as well as friends. But there is some positive that can come from this. If you've had time home and you've wanted to work on a project, aka a podcast, you now have the opportunity to do it. You have the time to do it. Take advantage. You know, some good stuff can come from this. That's one of the things that I've learned from it. I've been able to adapt and move forward, and a little bit of a hard work. Sorry, a little bit of hard work and a little luck um, was able to land myself a gig during all of this, and have still been working there, and it's been going really well. So,
Yeah.
you know, and it's not a place that's not supplying me with proper equipment and all that other stuff. I'm getting everything that I need, as well as cleaning material, etc. So, you know,
Amazing.
shout out to the bosses.
And for you, Hobbs, what do you consider your biggest
Your question was
accomplishment?
your biggest accomplishment. Oof. I think on a personal level, making top 8 Coffee Fest just deep in my heart. I had lost about 6 to 7 day ones in a consecutive after Baltimore first timer top 16. So definitely, crushed. I know I suffered a big defeat from Joe back in Tacoma, and I was like questioning my latte art career. I'm like, oh man, I'm just not built for it. But funny enough, having one of the craziest weekends in Coffee Fest history, and it's so funny because Joe knows that I always like to take like more than we should handle. And I think just getting through Coffee Fest is probably the biggest accomplishment that we have ever done, just because of so many things going on with the pre-qualifier to the booth to my car getting hit to trying to compete nationally, and also trying to have fun during the after party and making things happen during a pandemic. After all of it, we got through it. Everybody was happy, and to be honest, it's probably one of our biggest moments this year. And it normally was just the beginning of it. So man, Coffee Fest was pretty sweet. It was one of the greatest moments of our lives.
Plus, you have a new jersey now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
But yeah,
I mean, it was big. Hop took down some former champions there, so like it was pretty badass. Yeah. Somebody stepped this game up big time, man. We were all proud of him, man. That's right.
But yeah, one thing you did touch on is the fact that all the stress that goes behind it, everything you guys were able to pull off, and like everybody else that sees it right from the outside, like I myself as an spectator, like all I got to do is enjoy it. Everything you guys created was enjoyable, but I did not have to deal with everything you guys had to go through to create all that stuff, all the stress. So you guys are great at that stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. We might have brought the wrong table to an event space that we didn't have access to get the table back so we can switch it, and somehow figured out another way to bring something else there, and make it even that much better. But once again, this is kind of what we do. It's always beyond stressful, especially when we're out of state. So New York City, it's 1, 2, 3. We have a ton of connections, so we're just comfortable. But for the events that we've done out of state, Hop, for example, has gone a month or two before to kind of scope the place out. And not only that, but also one of the things is we always make sure to connect with that community, right? So like when we went out to Indianapolis, we made sure to hit out the Indy TNT out there, and let them know, hey, listen, we're going to be in town and we're looking for some places. And they were more than happy to connect with us and show us some good stuff. I mean, Hoff can talk more about that. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, where did we go? Indianapolis. I went a month earlier to scope out and meet League of Lattes. I think one of the biggest things that I appreciate, or my goal is to just, when I go to a community, is how can I help them, right? How can I make their community, their latte art competition a little bit better, a little bit more valuable, like, but it's cool. You get a different perspective on how people do events. I'm always learning, so it's cool that, we've had League of Lattes in Indianapolis. It was probably one of our most smoothest competitions we ever did. Even we lost our venue. Yeah, we lost our venue the day before, like a couple of days before.
Right.
And then like just to completely change plans and making it happen, like that's what people don't see. So
man,
Yeah, it's been tough. There's been some moments, but
You gotta be careful,
of
man. You
course,
might lose all your hair, you know?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
No, that's where I come into play. I pull my little pelitos so that Hav doesn't have to.
Yeah.
But Theo Joe, when did you stop shaving? Because I found some pictures where you didn't have a lot of facial hair, and now you have this
So
beautiful.
all right, so facial hair came into play because of my balloons. So with working different events and working with different companies, I had a gentleman come up to me, David, and David looked to me and goes, "Hey Joe, let me ask you a question." And I go, "What's up?" He goes, "Can you grow a beard?" And I said, "What do you mean? Can I grow a beard?" He goes, can you grow a beard? Like, does your face grow full?" And I said, yeah, my face grows pretty full. Why? What's up? And he goes, "You ever thought about being Santa Claus?" And I looked at him and I was like, "Get the fuck out of here! I ain't gonna be no Santa Claus." I was like, "Dude, I'm 35. I'm not fucking Santa Claus." And he goes, "Because, bro, man," he goes, the smile, the personality, he goes, "You make a great real beard Santa." And I said, "A real beard Santa? This is what are you talking about?" So he basically explains to me that he has a line of gentlemen who grow out their beards and they look like Santa and they sit in the malls and stuff. Now, a real beard Santa makes more money than a fake beard Santa because it's real hair and all this other stuff. But he's telling me that he has a whole group of them. So I looked at him and I was like, "So you're a Santa pimp?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm a Santa pimp, and I need some fresh meat." So basically, I did a year where I grew out all my hair and I did Santa at a mall, which honestly, after having my kids, is probably the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. Like the experience was amazing to have like all these kids and have all these experiences. And I only did it for 5 weeks, but something that as I get a little bit older, I definitely hope to get back into. It was really great experience.
Nice. Well, on a more serious note, with this whole pandemic and regulations and stuff, how do you guys
Yeah.
are preparing or planning for like the next event or the next coffee competition?
Oh man, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's been our question for the last couple of months. Trying to figure out, one, is it worth it? Two, how people are going to react to it. Three, do people need it? Do people, one of the things that I was thinking about is, don't be liable, be reliable. So that's kind of how I've been looking at events. Am I going to be too liable for other people's health? Is that worth it? Should we just go and attack online like how everybody is? And it's just really trying to have that conversation with each other. Hey, what's the best move? Us in Coffee Fest, we were like having meetings once a week to discuss if there was a chance to do some type of, you know, World Latte Art Championship, and at the end of the day, it fell through. It's just, I think, most likely or not, you're just gonna have to weigh it out.
Yeah.
There's just really nothing else we can do, and it's tough. It hurts so much. I love doing events. I remember last year I was like complaining like, oh, we gotta do another event, and now I'm like, man, like going through events withdrawal. I just want to pour latte. I just want to take it to people now. But that is a big question mark, my friend.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you very much, guys. You guys are amazing. You guys are full of knowledge. I appreciate all the time you guys took to be here with me. And I really can't wait till we can travel again or be safe traveling and be in big groups so that we can throw another or be at the next Espresso State of Mind throwdown,
Or the first ever Juan Loves Coffee throwdown.
There you go. We can definitely do that, huh? Yeah, dude. I'm excited for that,
Sure.
I'm excited for that.
My friend, thank you so much.
I really appreciate it, guys. Theo Joe, thank you very much for your time. Wish you nothing but the best.
Pleasure was,
Hobbs,
pleasure was
really
all
appreciate
mine.
your
Thank
time
you.
as well. Thank you. And see you guys on the gram, you know, or hopefully I'll catch a flight and then go to New York and see you guys. All right, guys, until next
Sounds like a
time.
plan, brother.
Peace.